Daily grind on the block, had a bunch of hits. Chinese food makes me sick. Welcome back to the daily grind. And that was LFO. You remember LFO?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about LMFAO forever.
Oh man, I just felt so old. I saw you not know who LFO was on your face, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh no, it's happened.
LFO, absolutely. LFO. I haven't thought about it in a hot minute, but yes, I'm with you. Dude, I'm older than you are.
I know it's Tuesdays. I couldn't get LFO, so I got buckets. How are you, brother? You doing good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy Tuesday. It's a great week, even though it's rainy and overcast here at 901. It's still a great day to have a great day because we had basketball last night.
Yes, we do. And we're going to get to that. I want to talk a lot about that. Most of the show today is going to be about Summer League because that's what's going on. Before we get to that, though, I want to do the business. I should have done this yesterday with Uncle Buck. You know, it would have been the day where we hit all the free agent signings from the weekend. But instead, I wanted to hear him share his passion for the country of France. And he did so with aplomb.
Very well.
But no, joking aside, I just wanted to pick. It's really easy to pick on Uncle Buck about French stuff, and so I'm going to keep doing it. But there were some good signings from the weekend. I actually felt kind of bad for not leading off with the DeMar DeRozan signing yesterday because that seemed like the biggest bit of business from over the weekend.
Yeah.
I will go through the other free agent signings after this one, but I want to talk about this one first because I think this is the last major free agent on the board, the last big one, I would say. I mean, this free agency has felt weird. It's just felt like it was over really quick, and a lot of the deals were kind of quiet. Like it just feels like people were just signing and they were just being announced. It was weird. It's been a weird free agency so far.
I would agree, man. It just felt like a kind of anticlimactic. You know, we were sitting there hoping that we're going to make some moves. I know a lot of our fan base were. I personally was not, and I've been pretty loud about that. But a lot of people were hoping for some moves for the Grizz. And when we didn't make any, there wasn't a ton of splash signings. I mean, yeah, like PG going to the Sixers and Hartenstein going to OKC. Like there was some moves that happened, but none of them that were just like, oh my gosh, you know, what a like earth-shattering move. Sure, we've got some guys that are getting paid, you know, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum getting paid, or Jason Tatum signing getting paid. It felt very anticlimactic for what is normally like a big, like, you know, hubbub about NBA free agency. And it kind of, you know, the DeMar DeRozan signing just kind of just falls in line with that. Like, I don't think there was any shock that he was trying to get back to California. Maybe a little bit that he's going to Sacramento. I think it makes Sacramento better, but I don't know that it makes them like jump from that middle tier where you and I had him to the top tier. I don't think so. You know, he's a mid-30s shooter. He can still create. He can still score. But that team, they trotted out, like they posted like who's stopping this lineup and stuff somebody posted on Twitter and said, this lineup gives me chills. I'm like, yeah, chills when you give up 140 because there is not a lick of defense. Not a lick of defense on that team.
It's really I'm glad you talked about Sacramento being in the middle essentially because all these free agency signings, like if you look at them as teams are signing guys to ideally put them higher in contention. Does DeMar DeRozan signing with the Kings put them any higher? I don't know. I don't know if any of these signings, except maybe the Hartenstein one for OKC and the Paul George one, are the only two that I would say actually make those teams better in the conference as a whole.
Well, in the Western Conference for sure. I mean, the Eastern Conference did a lot to get better. Obviously the Knicks and stuff notwithstanding. But I agree. Like this maybe moves the Kings from what? Maybe like the 8th best to the 7th best? 7th to 6th. Like, I don't think there's like a big leap there. I don't know that they move up a couple spots. I'm looking at the list of free agent signings now. I mean, the only other one in the Western Conference that, you know, maybe DeJounte Murray to New Orleans makes them a little bit better because he can, you know, go alongside CJ McCollum. But none of these are moving them from a middle tier to a top tier type moves.
And a lot of them are kind of moving sideways. Like you can bring in DeJounte Murray, but guess what? You don't have a single big on your roster anymore. Like what do you like? it's really weird. And it seems like every move has been like codependent on another move. Like if this happens and this happens, if this happens and this happens, and if this, and I guess it's that way every year, but whereas a lot of the names that are moving teams this year aren't like super duper stars. It just seems kind of pedestrian to me.
Yeah, Wayno in the comments, shout out, man. Absolutely right. It was a draft of role players. It's been a free agency of role players. Like there hasn't been that superstar move, you know, maybe Clay if this was 6 years ago, but, you know, he's, you know, remind you that Clay was 0 for 10 in an elimination game. And so, like, wasn't a ton of, like, big, splashy superstar needle-moving moves outside of maybe the Knicks. But, again, even they go from maybe the second best team in the Eastern Conference to the second best team in the Eastern Conference, right? Like, they still for Boston. Like, I don't see a move that has made me go, man, like, Dallas is all of a sudden like an elite team in the Western Conference. Like, it doesn't get me excited.
No, I mean, the West, man, the West just looks like it's going to be more muddled and harder next year. Like, it just looks like
murderer's row again. It's what the Western Conference has been for the last several years. The rich getting richer and the West getting better. You know, we had some people vacate, and I was kind of getting excited a little bit, maybe thinking there was going to be some movement there to make it better and easier for the Grizz. And boy, was I wrong.
Dude, it's weird that we're talking about like maybe the Clippers and the Warriors being like the two worst teams in the West when those have been perennial playoff teams. It's just status quo is changing, and it's really.
Listen, I'm here for it. It couldn't have happened to two better teams.
Man, I just don't like the Clippers. It's I can respect what the Warriors did.
Sure.
The Clippers are just. I want to like them so bad because they're the other LA team, but they do nothing to inspire anything.
No. And I will always hate them from the Flop City, Lob City, Flop City days. I will always have just disdain for the Clippers, and it's not going to change. Same with the Warriors. Like they've signed a couple Grizzly players that I liked from back in the day. But I hate those clowns, and I always will. And I wish nothing but poor things on them. Like, I don't wish injuries, but I wish their favorite foods would give them indigestion and that they don't play good basketball anymore. And so I'm all in on these teams becoming trash that I do not like. I root for laundry, and that's Memphis and anybody playing the teams that I hate. So I'm all in.
Yeah, that's good. The East, man, I don't want the Grizzlies to move to the East, but can you imagine just winning that conference every year? It must be really nice.
Oh my God.
It's absurd because when the Sixers bring in a old past his prime Paul George and Haywood Highsmith, and those players are enough to vault them into contention in the East. Those two guys.
Yeah, I will say this, over the weekend we did have Caleb Martin sign with the Sixers. I do like that.
Caleb Martin, he's not Highsmith.
Yeah, he's a volume shooter. He can get buckets. Like he can go on heaters. Yes, he's not like an overall great basketball player, but he's a good role player and one that could have fit on Memphis if you were so inclined, which I was not and still not. And I can't wait for this next segment. But yeah, I mean this Grizzlies roster as it's constructed, pending Luke Kennard coming back like we all anticipate him doing, would be a top 2 or 3 seed in the West, or in the East, like maybe even like top 2, not number 2, right? I mean, we would dominate the Eastern Conference. God,
it's cute that we still let them play basketball, but it's as much as you can look forward to a bloodbath. The West is just it's hard. It's hard, and case in point, when the team that we are predicting to be possibly the worst in the West, the Jazz, still hooped last night, man.
Yeah,
like last night's game was good, dude. Like. It was a good basketball game.
And it wasn't like it was in a sense that their leading scorer had 30 points on 6 of 21 shooting, which the officiating was moronically bad last night. But it felt like an NBA game. Like it didn't feel like your YMCA, LA Fitness, or eSportia, whatever it is now in Memphis. Like it didn't feel like your typical pickup game. Like there was some strategy, there was some play calling, shout out Coach March and the guys. Like it looked like an NBA game, and it was fun basketball. It's competitive. It was awesome.
Yes. And the Edey had his moment. Like we were all wondering what Edey was going to do. And that buzzer beater, man, to send it into overtime, that's the kind of stuff that's like, I get 9 out of 10 rookies don't do that. That's a moment. That's a moment that you got to send a game into overtime. I guarantee you every other rookie, that's tough.
That's grown ass man basketball to fight through two quality bigs. Now, both of them are a little light in the britches compared to him, but like
light in the britches,
quality post player. Like it felt very much like Dennis Rodman. I was texting with a buddy of mine last night. Like that felt like a Rodman rebound. Like nobody's getting that ball but me. When that ball came off that backboard, Edey was like, it was his ball. Like there was absolutely nothing Skinny Filipowski and undersized Walker Kessler were absolutely going to do. And Kessler's a good defender. Like he's averaged 2.5 blocks a game last year. Like he's one of the premier defenders in the league. And he had nothing for Zack Edey on that play. It was incredible. I get fired up thinking about it.
I was looking for pictures to do on the thumbnail for today's show, and go and look, man. Every picture of Edey and Kessler guarding him, Kessler looks miserable. He looks so tired and just like scared. And Edey had 13 rebounds, dude. Did we have anyone get 13 rebounds in a game for us last season?
It's funny. Like, I'm going to toot my own horn here for just a minute. Like, on draft night, I told my buddy Micah, shout out Micah Thomas, a good big fan of this show, the 2 Buck Sports Show. He sent me a screenshot from draft night, and I said, all I need is 10 rebounds a night from Zack Edey. That's all I need. I don't care how many points he gets. Give me 10 rebounds. And Micah sent me that screenshot and said, he got you 13. And I'm like, let's go. I'm so stoked, man.
He did exactly what we – he did what we needed him to. Like, if he's going to do that every game, I'll be happy. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say anything.
And I'm sure this is going to come up, but I freaking love his attitude. Dunking on Walker Kessler, hitting him with on his head. You know, if he's going to give a hip check for Jake LaRavia, like he's going to pick up and carry somebody just like Steve-O did, you know, in Chicago. Like, it's going to be like he is our bodyguard now. And he showed that attitude, that chip on his shoulder that he had from the, you know, they don't know us, we're freaking winners quote, to just watching the way he carries himself. Like he's Memphis, man. He's all in. He very much filled the role of Steven Adams last night. And I know it's one game, but he had 5 offensive rebounds last night. That's a Steve-O type game. And there were so many little putback bunnies and dunks. And like, again, I want to go on. I'll go on a tangent about how great Scottie Pippen Jr. was last night. I can do that, talk for 30 minutes. And little spoiler alert, there's an article coming out today on bluffcitymedia.co where I hype up Scottie Pippen Jr. and all he did was prove me right last night. But imagine what that pick and roll is going to look like with Ja and Dez on the floor. I mean, Edey's going to have 30 dunks a game because what are you going to do? You're going to crash with Edey and give Ja a free lane, or you're going to sag off of Dez and give him an open three. I saw so much from Edey last night to be excited about.
Yeah, man, he's such a natural Memphian for a dude from Canada. It's really strange. Like he's playing like there was no reason for him to be playing like that last night. Like with this chip on his shoulder when he was the 2-time, he won the Wooten Award 2 years in a row. Yeah. Like it's just, he fit in beautifully, like in terms of fit, just basketball wise and just personality wise. It seems like it's going to be a match made in heaven. It's really nice.
I'll gladly eat crow. Like if you look at my Twitter feed from like my profile from draft night, I was in the doldrums. Like Maggie and I were talking last night. We were watching the game together and she was like, I'm glad to see you've recovered from draft night because you were pretty mopey. I was like, I was very mopey. I was upset but now like, I started to have I want a t-shirt, Edey for the city, man. That might be, I'm not a big jersey guy, but that might be a jersey that I get if this trend continues, just because like you said, he is Memphis. Like he stepped right in. He fits the mold of what we needed. And shout out Zach Kleiman, whether or not he's being 100% truthful as to this is how they wanted the draft to go, he got exactly what this team needed in a center.
The other two, the other two rookies, they've fared a little. Well, Jalen Wells fared differently. Let's put it that way. He was 12% from the field, 0% from three. Not a great game. He had 7 rebounds, but he was playing like a guy that played in Sonoma and then played in. It's going to be new for him. It's all going to be new for him. Whereas Cam Spencer, 50-60. He had 50 from the field, 60 from three.
Yeah,
that's what. He's a dog, and he signed that third 2-way contract hour before the game, I think. And I think it was it you? No, it was you or Uncle Buck that texted the group and was like,
Uncle Buck.
Yeah, can we swap their contracts? Because I think that anybody that watched UConn and then watched Jalen Wells play, like one of them was clearly going to be ready on day one and one wasn't. I'm not going to hold any stock. Like, I'm not going to hold any stock in that game for Jalen Wells. You know, it's his first time on. That's you would like to see him play well because you want to see all your rookies play well. But he still got, like I said, 7 rebounds. That's good.
And that's what I liked about last night was his shot wasn't falling and he found a way to contribute otherwise. He also defended well last night. He moved well in space. He came over screens. Like, he didn't get caught up in the minutia and get off his man. There was a lot of hustle things that I liked about Jalen Wells. And I still think he can be that wing scorer for us. Again, last night, first game jitters, 1 for 9 from the floor. You know, he's played in the Pac-12, a conference that no longer exists. And so this is his first like brightest moment, right? And so I think that there's still a lot of potential there, but I absolutely think we have solved our backup point guard position. I have been champion Scottie Pippen Jr. since the end of last season. Like, he's our backup point guard. Like, does he need to overtake Derrick Rose right now? No. Let's see what we have in Derrick Rose. You got him on a 2-way deal. Luke, if he started playing in October, he could play until February because 2-way deal players can play up to 50 games. So you got 50 games across, or you got 100 games across Scottie Pippen Jr. and Cam Spencer. There's no reason to go ahead and sign Scottie Pippen Jr. to a long-term deal yet, but by February, March, we absolutely need to, because that dude is a freaking player, man. Efficient last night, led the offense very coolly again. He was smooth, and then he gets buckets. Like, he can get to he got 21 points last night. I wrote about him some in the article coming out today. He had 26 against the Lakers last year against his former squad. Finished the season with a double-double. Like, the guy just plays hard basketball. And I think you've got him. And then, as Maggie, shout out Maggie, she knows ball, last night said, Cam Spencer's a dog. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And so, like, all in on those two guys filling that backup point guard role. Like, we've got them at home, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Scottie Pippen Jr. also had the prettiest shot of anybody on our roster yesterday. The dude's shot is crisp. It's just like, one, go figure when your dad's Scottie Pippen Sr., I guess. But
yes,
I agree with you. It will be a failure on magnificent proportions if they do not convert his 2-way by the end of the season's end. It will be.
Yeah, especially shout out DG. He's right. 2-way players cannot play in the playoffs. So if we're going to have Scottie as part of our long-term option, like, he needs to be on like a 3 or 4 year deal, much like Vince and GG got last year. Or D Rose needs to be healthy, and he's 35. There's a lot of questions around that. Like, he was not healthy last year. He's not been healthy in a while. Like, could he be? But could these guys be enough to get D Rose healthy enough towards the back half of the year? He doesn't have to play as much in November and December, and then he might be the guy in the playoffs. But what I saw from Scottie Pippen Jr. last night, like, if Derrick Rose is hurt, I wouldn't be mad if Scottie took that role.
And they shouldn't stress about it either. They should be like, we got it.
And
two other guys they have gotten the fact that they have gotten Gigi and Vince and potentially get Scottie on these absurdly, like, totaling $10 million together. That's wild. It's wild. Speaking of Gigi, I do want to talk about him and Jake, because I think word of mouth was that Gigi was going to be one of the guys to watch in Summer League. Everybody expected him just to, be as dominant as he was against like regular NBA competition last season. I think that's what we all expected. And he was, I mean, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. It's just, it's unlike a lot of the performances he had last year. It was less confident. I felt like it was just weird. It felt like a little hiccup for him.
So it wasn't right. Cause like last year in those late games when he was getting all those buckets, like, he was not very efficient. His shooting percentage wasn't great. He doesn't assist. He averaged like 1.9 assists. It felt like he was doing too much. Shout out King Meeks. Like, he wasn't super efficient last night. And we didn't, and this, I was listening to Michael Cole this morning. I was at the gym. Shout out to Michael Cole, Commercial Appeal on Locked On Grizzlies podcast. Like, he was talking about, like, we didn't harp on those numbers very much at the end of last season because those games didn't matter. Yes, he was inefficient, but he got 44 points and 34 points, and he was getting buckets in games that really didn't matter. And yes, if he had gone from 1.9 assists to maybe 6 assists and he had 27 instead of 34, we win the game. Like, that's something to monitor. But again, his first game jitters, he's been all over social media. He's kind of the darling. He probably read some of his headlines. And so, yeah, he was 0 for 10 from 3 last night and 6 for 20. He had a Keontae George shooting line last night. It was not efficient, which is, again, kind of been his MO, at the end of last year. It's something to watch, but the talent is clearly there. Like the superstar frame is still there. He's still so smooth. Got to the rim efficiently with some dunks last night. 6 rebounds. He still does that well for a 6'9" guy. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but last night was ugly.
Yeah, it's just, and we were spoiled. It was ugly when we grew to expect something else. Unlike Jake LaRavia, man, who is just kind of has gone out and hooped every time he's played since he got healthy. He's not gonna blow the box score off the wall, but you're gonna be like, wow, that's second highest score. Like he's gonna get you buckets. He's gonna rebound. He's gonna hustle. Like he's still slower than Christmas, but like he's not making mistakes. He's not contributing to any losing. He wasn't at the end of last season. He didn't last night. It's weird if he's going to be the one of those wings that's still there. It's going to be real weird.
This is the safe space for us to work through things together, right? Like,
yeah,
I feel like I need to eat some crow because I've been super harsh on Jake LaRavia. I don't know that he's the answer, but if he's the 14th, 13th, 14th guy and he can go out and get you 18 points on a night when you need it, like, yes, I could probably beat him in a foot race at 37 and 3 knee surgeries. Like, but the guy's an efficient shooter. His shot is pretty. Like, I can see the things that Kleiman sees in him and is wanting to take another flyer on him. Again, if it had been this time last year and you said, hey, we're going to have Jake LaRavia as a part of our future, I would have laughed you off this show.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe when we do a salary dump and we do, move some boneless wings, like what if we kept LaRavia, we moved Jitty and Zaire, and kind of come off with them and see what we have with Jake. We've got Santi, we've got Summer Santi is all at it again. He's out there freaking hooping for Spain and gonna get us all hyped, and he's gonna come in and get us 6 points. But
he's done it to me every year. He's done it to me every single year.
Freaking hooping right now for Spain, man. And so, but staying on target, which I'm not very good at. I've got the attention span of a friggin' gnat. But LaRavia looked good last night. He looks smooth. He's in control. When he's healthy, he can get buckets.
Well, and he doesn't take bad shots. I that's one reason some of these guys, it's like, don't like Jitty and Zaire will take ill-advised threes.
Ooh, yeah.
Like the ones that Jake misses, they're not bad shots. He's what?
DG in the comments, would you trade Jake in next year's first for Walker Kessler?
No, not current. He would be rendered useless with Zack Edey.
That's where the minutes come in, because are you gonna give up BC minutes for Kessler? And Kessler, maybe he's a better big than BC, but I like BC, and maybe I'm like Beale Street blue color glasses. Maybe that's where I'm at. I don't know that he's going to take minutes from Jaren at the 5. Like, I just don't know. That's an awkward fit, and we need shooters. Like we've kind of got the big situation somewhat figured out. Like we need shooters.
Yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't want to bring in another young big. Like if I'm going to bring in another big, I'm going to bring in a vet. Bring in someone on the vet minimum. Like bring Bismack Biyombo back. I'm sure he's on the couch again. Like,
yeah.
You remember him? Like
so many good memories.
Like just shooting. Like if you're gonna consolidate, bring a shooter in. Don't go crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. That was it. Anything else you want to talk about the game last night? Or
it was good to see some of these rookies finally get some basketball. We got another one tonight coming back playing the Sixers tonight. We get to see a familiar face for Memphis Tiger fans and David Jones. They look good, man. Jared McCain filled it up. Ricky Council can get buckets. Like they had some big nights yesterday. But I'm encouraged. It was tough. I was tooting the horn for Khalil Ware for a long time, and watching him get 26 for Miami. He looked so good, and I was like,
he looked comfortable.
He looked comfortable. All the questions about his motor can be, resolved. It's one game, but he looked so smooth. But I'm happy to have Zack Edey. So happy to have Zack Edey. He fits, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've done such a fast 180 on a player where it's like. And then, I mean, it was public. I think all of us were like, oh, no, not him. And now we're like, okay, we're sheepish because he's exactly what we need.
That's it. Shout out Kleiman. In Kleiman, we trust.
In Kleiman, we trust. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we get back, we're going to tube because it's Tuesdays. And on Tuesdays, we tube right after this break.
I think people knew, at least towards the end of the year, and he mentioned his mom being sick and battling throat cancer, I think it was, and different things. But like, he really opened up about it. I don't know that anybody knew about his mom having a stroke mid-season, leaves a shoot around, goes home to find his mom on the floor, and then had to basically leave her to still go coach a game.
It's crazy.
Like I can't, it puts things into perspective. It's just like some things are more important than basketball. And so, yeah, to your point of him being distracted or focused on taking care of or the health of his mother, like totally understandable. So no wonder a part of him probably feels personally attacked. I think if that had been out, and I'm not saying he should have put that out, like totally,
no,
it's family,
absolutely not.
Privacy, whatever. I'm just saying, had it been out and people known that, I think he would have been given a lot more slack for what had occurred during the season.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
I don't know that there's been a more polarizing prospect in recent memory than Edey. I mean, everyone just had wild opinions on him. You find guys, people whose opinion I really respect in the draft community, who had Zack Edey number one. You'll also find people whose opinion I really respect who had Zack Edey in the 20s or 30s. So he was all over the place. I settled with him as a top 10 guy in this class. And, you know, I've told a couple people I kind of want to edit my draft board now and put him like top 3 because I just think the Grizzlies are a perfect fit for him. Like this makes so much sense. And I think the more you think about it and the more you look at what he does well and what he brings, it's perfect, man. It really is a perfect fit.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind. You can catch that show, Anthony Sane Show. You can catch your show, the $2 Sports Show. You can catch not Grizz 901 anymore. They're taking a break. No Bluffing. Catch all those over at bluffcitymedia.co. You can catch our show tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Tomorrow we will have both of the $2. We'll be doing our Wednesday through trio. Thursday, I'm going to have Ryan Matthews on. First time he's been on the show. We're just going to talk about Summer League, talk about these new players. And Friday, if it works out, I'm going to have on Fridays, I'm going to start bringing in some of my old friends who don't know anything about basketball and just talk about basketball with them. It's going to be really fun.
Awesome.
If they do it, but you can catch all that at bluffcitymedia.co. Back to the show. Dude, Tuesdays are my favorite because I'm like going and watching more TV than I was because we get to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not even stuff that I would normally watch. Like right now I'm watching Alone.
Ooh.
Do you know what this is? It's where they it's a survival show and it's like an actual survival show.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing like seeing this to remind you just how weak of a man you are. You know, like I wouldn't have died immediately on the Oregon Trail, but I would have died pretty early on. And what these dudes are doing on this show where they just are living in like a little half, like a hollow with it's crazy. It's crazy. And then they just know which mushrooms to eat. Like, I just don't. Survivalists are the most impressive group of people ever because I can't do shit by myself, and it's just it's impressive. It's impressive, and it's compelling. And these are just people sitting by themselves talking to themselves. Yeah, I'm watching it.
I fancy myself like a hiker. I hike the Appalachian Trail. I do a lot of overnight trips and stuff. But yeah, these people who do this alone stuff in the woods, and I'm like you, man. What mushroom I'm supposed to eat and that kind of stuff kind of misses on me sometimes. Like I know some of them in my neck of the woods, but you could drop me in Alaska. I don't think it's going to go well.
Well, and I'm a man who likes his toilet paper, and I'm a man who is accustomed to a certain number of ply, and I just wouldn't. I'm not even gonna think about that's the problem. That the bathroom issues is where I would show up and I'd be like, wait, there's not a bathroom. Oh, I quit. I quit, guys.
Sorry, guys.
I didn't know. I bet you. What are you watching?
For me, I'm still going through Game of Thrones, man. So Tywin Lannister is dead. Tyrion is on his way with the Spider to go meet with Daenerys to talk to her about coming back to Westeros.
The You killed my dog, dude.
Yes, Oberyn, right? Oberyn
Yeah.
was smooshed by the mountain with just like a wild, like a great man. It was wild. And then Arya is now with the man with no name in Bravo. So I'm super stoked about where that's going to go. Like,
Dude,
there's so much happening in Game of Thrones right now. I'm all in. I can't believe I waited this long to watch it. Like, that's going to be my Tubing Tuesday for a little bit as I'm updating you on where I'm at, because it's incredible. Because I want to get to House of Dragons because I've been seeing like the hype around it, but it's just silly for waiting so long to watch it. It's incredible TV.
Dude, the fight between Brienne and the Hound at
Incredible.
The last episode of season 4.
Yes.
One of my favorite fights I've seen ever. Where they're just punching each other, and she punches him in the balls, and it's like, oh my God, this is nasty.
Brianna Tarth is a badass, and I'm all in on her. She's incredible. Love her storyline. I hope she's there forever, which tells me she probably won't be, just based on like, if you're a good person in Westeros, you die early, but like, I'm here for it, man. She's incredible. Incredible.
And the Hound, man, you like the Hound, right? He was one of my favorite characters.
Love the Hound. And like, so they showed him dying, but they did not show him die. So I have a feeling I didn't see no body. Anytime that happens, there's a good chance they're going to come back. So I'm waiting for that triumphant-ish return. So stoked on some of the things that are going on, man. Like, shout out Wayno. Abigail is definitely one that I want to watch. I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's a good movie. Definitely want to watch Abigail. It's a new like horror movie that recently came out.
Is it about the doll?
I think so, yeah.
Man, whoever came up with the idea of a doll, that person better be locked up because they're creepy. Dolls are creepy. Man.
Any horror movies involving kids and dolls just creep me the F out. No thanks.
Like dolls and clowns, I'm out. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't need them, you know?
Yeah.
Horror movie. I don't like horror movies. They scare me.
I love scary movies.
You would. We'll have a horror movie episode in October.
Let's do it.
I'm so happy you're watching Game of Thrones, and we're just going to recap every week. That makes me so happy. Thank you for tuning into the show, y'all. That's going to do it for us today. We went a little over because we're just talking. There's a lot to talk about. Summer League. I could talk for an hour. We're going to be back. We're both going to be back tomorrow. It's going to be me and Buckets and Uncle Buck. We're going to talk more Summer League. I'm going to have a draft for us. I haven't decided what yet. I told my family about our draft, and every single person I told picked Drew as the winner, and it really upset me.
Lame. And even my girlfriend, she was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to Drew's cookout. I'm like, well, you're uninvited to mine.
Well, you don't get a bomb pop.
That's it.
Thank you for watching the show, guys. Have a good rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow. And if I can leave you with anything today, just remember 2 things. Remember to be a little weird, and remember to smile. I'll see everybody tomorrow.